So if we start with day one of the follicular phase, okay, day one of the follicular phase means technically you can say day five of the menstrual cycle, okay, because we count the menstrual cycle from the first day of bleeding, that is the menstruation phase. So you can say the day five of the menstruation cycle, or you can say menstrual phase, or sorry, the day five of the menstruation cycle or first day of the follicular phase. So on the first day of the follicular phase, that is the day five of the menstrual cycle, what will happen? The diameter of the follicle will be only 5 mm. Okay, 5 mm follicle diameter, and that too, one will be having one or a single tertiary follicle. Then it becomes Graafian follicle, where I had showed you that is it contains cumulus oophorus, then the cavity, water filled, protein filled, proteoglycan filled cavity, and immune complex complement protein filled, and that is 14 to 21 mm by 10 by day 10 to 12. By day 13, only one follicle becomes the large Graafian follicle. The one follicle becomes the large Graafian follicle, okay, which secretes a lot of estrogen. Okay, then we have the specific graph that I showed you. Okay, I'll show you the graph again. Can you see the screen for the graph? So
Yes, sir.
okay, this is the graph for estradiol and progesterone. Okay, estradiol you can see peaks at day 12 to day 13. Okay, day 14, day 13 to day 14, LH will pick up. That is called LH surge and ovulation. Okay, FSH will not pick up so much, but its level still is little bit high on day 12. And after the ovulation, the progesterone level picks up, which we will talk about. Okay, so these are the specificities. Now coming on to the hormones. I told you activin stimulates FSH, inhibin secreted by ovaries, it you can say de-stimulates or inhibits the secretion of FSH from pituitary gland. Then I told you about follistatin, again glycoprotein which inhibits FSH. So these things we talked about in the yesterday's class. Okay. Now, one thing I'll tell you, how do, okay, this is a very technical question. Okay, just try to understand the question. How do the neurons that secrete GnRH, means in the arcuate nucleus, you can say, sense the level of estrogen in the blood? It's a very technical question. Okay, meaning that what I'm trying to ask is, I drew the negative feedback loop yesterday, if you remember. I'm drawing it again. The hypothalamus containing arcuate nucleus GnRH. Okay, pituitary gland secrete GnRH. Pituitary will secrete FSH and LH. That will lead to Graafian follicle. Secreting estrogen. Estrogen will inhibit GnRH secretion, right? LH eventually will go for L surge post ovulation. Okay. That will happen later on. Okay, and also the ovarian follicles will release inhibin, which will only inhibit FSH, not LH. This is inhibin. So this is what happens in follicular phase. So my question is, getting my question, estrogen went and inhibited hypothalamus means secretion of GnRH. The neurons which would secrete GnRH, how would they sense estrogen level? What the question? Is the question clear? Ayushi, Anshika, Mansi, is the question clear? Pratishi, how are they sensing GnRH? They would sense the GnRH secreting neurons, they should sense estrogen, right? Level, then they will be inhibited. If I sense your, you can say, number, then I know, okay, the class is full, strength is full. How they are knowing what is the estrogen level? Got the question, everyone? Anshika, understood? Question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The answer is a little bit complex here, okay? Because there are no estrogen receptor present on the, you can say, neurons which secrete GnRH. Okay, always know this. There is no estrogen receptor present. Okay, but the thing is, there are neurons which are present at the vicinity. Okay, they have got estrogen receptor. So it's this kind of, you can say, hypothesis. Let's suppose neuron number. This is the neuron which secretes GnRH, but it has got no estrogen receptor, okay, on its, you can say, cytosol, because estrogen is a steroid hormone. It can go directly in, but in the cytosol some receptor must be there, so there is no estrogen receptor. But suppose there are some surrounding neurons, they do have estrogen receptor. Estrogen receptor alpha and estrogen receptor beta. Okay. There are two estrogen receptors types, alpha and beta. When estrogen binds to these, they release a hormone known as kisspeptin, or a peptide protein hormone. This binds to GnRH, and more kisspeptin means there was more estrogen. Okay, that kind of complex, you can say, signaling event. That is how complex your body is. Okay. Directly not, but indirectly, yes, they can sense estrogen, because if the surrounding neurons which have estrogen receptor, they bind to estrogen, they will release the hormone kisspeptin. Now, kisspeptin receptor is present on GnRH secreting neuron. The more kisspeptin, GnRH will be inhibited secretion. Okay, it is like that. We can go more deeper, but it's way beyond your course. That's why I told you this little bit deeper theory behind the role of kisspeptin. Okay. So coming on to the ovulatory phase, we know one more thing. I'll tell you that the GnRH cycle, okay, GnRH is not secreted continuously. Okay, secretion of GnRH is known as pulsatile secretion. Pulsatile means it is secreted in phases. You can say pulses. Okay, means suppose 2 microliter for half an hour. Again, no secretion for the next half an hour. Again, 2 microliter for half an hour, like that. So every half an hour it is getting secreted. Okay, just pause, secrete, like that. GNR secretion is like that. It is not like a continuously open tap. You open it full speed, shut it off. Full speed open, shut it off. Full speed open, shut it off. Like that. So it is known as pulsatile secretion. Very, very important. GnRH is pulses. So one can have rapid pulses or slow pulses. Means more number of on and off, or less number of on and off. So less number of on and off means GNRS would be cumulative secretion will be less, right? Suppose I am opening the tap only 2 times in 1 hour, or 1 times in 1 hour, or 2 times, or 1 time in each hour. So 24 hours, 24 times it got opened. One time I'm doing what? I am opening the tap 5 times in 1 hour. Okay. So that means then GNI secretion will be more. Okay. So rapid pulses, which is more than 1 hour, is seen in the late follicular phase. And they tend to favor LH secretion. Okay. And slow pulse, one in every 3 to 4 hours, they favor FSH release. I'll explain by drawing a simple figure. Okay. Hypothalamus, GnRH, pituitary gland. Now I told you pituitary gland, the anterior pituitary gland adenohypophysis, the you can say gonadotrophs, presenting pars distalis, they secrete both. They secrete FSH also. They secrete LH also. So how will GNRH decide when to make pituitary secrete FSH, when to make pituitary secrete LH? Getting my question? If GNRH is secreted, you can say rapid pulses, means more than one per hour. You can say more than one per hour. Then LH secretion is stimulated. If it is secreted only once in 3 to 4 hours, FSH secretion is secreted. Then FSH secretion is stimulated, I should say. Okay. So this is how it differentiates, because there is only one hormone which stimulates the formation of two hormones. So how does it stimulate? FSH and LH. So for FSH, its pulses must be slow. Number of frequency, or I can say frequency must be slow. Okay, number of vibrations per second, that is frequency, or number of release per second, or whatever, not per second, here per hour, you can think of. So its frequency is slow for FSH, its frequency is high for LH. So that is how you can say one hormone, okay, directly can control the secretion of two hormones from the pituitary gland. Getting my point? Am I clear? Satish, is it clear? Avantika? Anshika? That one hormone is controlling the
Yes, sir.
secretion of two hormones. Okay. This is how it controls the secretion of two major hormones. Okay. Next, when I come to ovulatory phase, I told you there will be a huge LH surge. Okay. Huge LH surge in case of ovulatory phase, and that will lead to ovulation. Okay. So now we can go to our luteal phase. Means the Graafian follicle has released the ovum, but one should understand what does a released ovum contain. Is it a naked cell? No, it is still surrounded by zona pellucida. Okay, and at least two layers of follicular cells. Even the released ovum. Okay, I'll draw the released ovum from Graafian follicle. It will not contain theca externa, theca interna and all, but released ovum, or technically ovulated ovum, means ovum coming out of the Graafian follicle, will definitely look like this. It will look like this. This is the zona pellucida. This is the ovum. Okay. And there will at least be 2 layers of follicular granulosa cells. This is follicular granulosa cells. Okay. This one is zona pellucida. Zona pellucida, acellular layer. So this is how an ovulated ovum looks like. Okay, it will not have membrana cavernosa and thicker internal external because it has come out of the follicle, but still it will have 2 layers at least of follicular granulosa cells. Okay, so always know this is how a released ovum looks like. It is not a naked, you can say like this, a naked cell. It is not a naked cell. There is coating of zona pellucida and at least 2 layers of follicular granulosa cells. Okay. So now we'll come to the luteal phase. Luteal phase means the follicle has been emptied. Graafian follicle has released this ovum, and now the follicle is empty. Okay. What will that empty follicle do? Okay. The thing is, we have inhibin release from the ovary, okay, which inhibits FSH and LH, okay, that is there always. But the thing is, inhibin release, I told you, it selectively inhibits FSH, not LH in yesterday's class. But the thing is, there is also a small FSH surge, okay, along with LH surge on day 14, okay, just to cause ovulation. So it may be because of the fact that pituitary is unable to release, okay, a strong pulse of LH without also releasing some FSH, okay, but it needs more research because LH surge is fine. A lot of LH is released during day 14 for ovulation. Day 14, I told you have LH surge. A lot of LH is released to cause ovulation. But with LH surge, there is little bit of FSH surge also. FSH surge, little bit, not double higher, one higher, you can say. But the thing is, without FSH release in little bit high amount, the pituitary may not be able to release a lot of high amount of LH or luteinizing hormone. That could be one of the reasons, but we need to look at the research again. Okay. One more thing, after the, you can say, estradiol levels drop just before ovulation because LH takes over. Okay, LH keeps on taking over. There is no now FSH stimulation. So what will happen? Estradiol levels drop and progesterone levels, you can say, increases after, you can say, just before ovulation little bit. Okay, so this drop in estradiol can lead to mild uterine bleeding just during the ovulation stage when the ovum is coming out of the Graafian follicle. So that mild bleeding you may be having, that is known as spotting or breakthrough bleeding. Okay, it is a very, very rare phenomenon. It is not menstrual bleeding or menstrual phase, just spotting. Because during that time, what happened? Estrogen level of 17 beta estradiol level dropped and little bit of progesterone level increased just during the time of ovulation. Why did estrogen drop? Because LH receptors were produced or were, you can say, stimulated or induced, I should be saying, on the follicular cells, if you remember. Earlier follicular cells were having FSH, but after the estrogen's effect, they were producing estrogen, right? Aromatase was converting testosterone or androstenedione to 17 beta estradiol. Okay, coming from the theca interna, it was releasing a lot of estrogen, but estrogen on this own cell caused LH receptor. Now, when it bound to LH, the aromatase function reduced, estrogen dropped, LH caused the production of which hormone? Progesterone, more and more progesterone. Okay, from the same cholesterol, it deviated the pathway. Okay, the delta 4 pathway deviated, that is not in your course, that is biochemistry, but it went for progesterone, you can say, production. More progesterone, less estrogen during the ovulatory phase, day 14, can cause a mild bleeding. Okay, mild bleeding known as breakthrough bleeding or simply spotting. Okay, which is not ovulation, sorry, not menstrual phase, not day 1 to day 5, just mild. Okay, may have, may not have as well in some cases. Okay, now in case of, you can say, a normal female, okay, I'll just give you an example. In case of a normal female, we know that the follicles, they switch every menstrual cycle, right? Suppose your left or the ovary switch, I should be saying, when it comes to ovulation. Suppose your right ovary released an ovum in this month's menstrual cycle. In the next month's menstrual cycle, what will happen? The left ovary would release. Again, next to next month, right ovary. Again, after that, left ovary. So it will just keep on switching. In no two successive menstrual cycle will the same ovary release the ovum in a female body. Create signaling mechanism, which still scientists are trying to find out. Okay, we still have to read more research papers to find out what happens. Still, it's an enigma or mystery. But when a lady suppose develops a tumor in the pituitary, sorry, tumor in the ovary, suppose she has one tumor in left ovary. So doctor went for, you can say, ovarectomy, which is removal of that ovary. Okay, now she has only the left ovary remaining. So now every menstrual cycle, the left ovary will, you can say, ovulate. Okay, it will not be like one menstrual cycle left ovary, other menstrual cycle no ovulation, because there is no right ovary. Every menstrual cycle, left ovary will take over. How this happens, still it's a mystery. Okay. Now coming on to the luteal phase. Luteal phase is also known as secretory phase because it maintains endometrial lining, okay, by secreting a lot of, you can say, progesterone. So during this phase, the uterine smooth muscles, they contract less frequently than the follicular phase. I told you they keep on contracting as well. Okay. So what happens is the Graafian follicle, which is now empty. Okay. The empty Graafian follicle. Okay. In case of luteal phase, empty Graafian follicle means does not have ovary. Very, very important. Empty Graafian follicle becomes what? Becomes corpus luteum. Very, very important for board. Corpus luteum. Because there's something that's corpus albicans also that comes in NEET exam also. So during luteal phase, the empty Graafian follicle becomes something known as corpus luteum. Okay. This structure does what? It secretes estradiol and progesterone both. Okay, progesterone in more level, but also estradiol. Many books will write only progesterone. That is wrong. It secretes estrogen or 17 beta estradiol and progesterone, both the hormones. Okay. This progesterone does what? It maintains the blood vessels or blood vessel integrity in stratum functionalis of endometrium, because this is the layer that is sloughed off or thrown off. So if your progesterone level is high, the endometrium is maintained. That is why progesterone is also referred to as a pregnancy maintenance hormone. Because if you want to maintain pregnancy for 9 months, what you need to do? You don't need to break off the blood vessel, because the blood vessels are supplying nutrients to the developing embryo. If they are broken down, the embryo will die. The developing fetus will die. It will become apoptotic, completely necrosis and death. Okay. So we need to maintain, because there are many females, you must have heard of miscarriage. During miscarriage, heavy bleeding happens because the fetus is dead, all the blood vessels have ruptured, and entire thing got discharged via vagina. There will be heavy bleeding, 1 to 2 liters of blood. Why did that happen? Because the progesterone level dropped due to some reason. Progesterone level dropped all of a sudden. Okay. Maybe the placenta is not able to secrete progesterone properly. Maybe corpus luteum was not viable at that time. Okay. So there could be multiple reasons. Progesterone level dropped. Okay. So what happens is the presence of, you can say, both the hormones are needed here. Okay. So the levels of these two hormones rise in the middle or the mid phase of the luteal phase. Okay. But 4 days before menstrual phase begins, that is, you can say day 24. Okay, the corpus luteum begins to degenerate, and when it degenerates, it becomes corpus albicans. And when it degenerates, what will happen? Luteal phase is when? Luteal phase is it starts from when? Day number 15 to day 28. I told you 4 days before menstrual phase. Menstrual phase means day 1 to day 4. Means day 24 of the luteal phase, if there is no fertilization, means the ovum is sitting like that and the follicle is sitting like that, waiting in releasing progesterone, and there is no fertilization, there is no sexual intercourse. Eventually, the corpus luteum will start degenerating or degrading. Okay, will start degenerating. Becomes a white body. Luteum means it's yellow in color. It becomes corpus albicans. When it degenerates, what will happen? It can no longer secrete estrogen and progesterone. Because of this low level, eventually the stratum functionalis, means all the vascular layer, the vascularization, they are degraded, and ultimately on day 1, you will be having the commencement of menstrual bleeding. Bleeding will begin. Okay, that is what will happen. 24th day, this will start degrading. So estrogen progesterone level down, mainly progesterone level. When it is down, the endometrium, stratum functionalis layer, blood vessels die. Okay, clot formation will happen, and eventually on day 1, you will be having menstrual bleeding. Okay, that is the main cause. Okay, now the presence of estrogen and progesterone in the luteal phase, what happens it results in negative feedback of both FSH and LH secretion. Okay, both FSH and LH. In follicular phase, what was happening? Presence of estrogen, there was no progesterone secreted, remember. So presence of estrogen In the follicular phase, it was inhibiting only FSH release. Okay, inhibiting only FSH release because it was secreting also inhibin. But here, one more thing I'll tell you. Little bit of progesterone was released. Here, there is something called as progesterone estrogen ratio. Okay, so the high progesterone to estrogen ratio, okay, it slows down the GnRH pulse. Okay, means once in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, this inhibits, okay, FSH release, and also it will restrict follicular development during luteal phase. It slows down a lot. Once in every 4 hours, you can say. It slows it down very, very much. Okay. So we'll talk about this negative feedback in detail in tomorrow's class. Okay. I'll just revise and we'll talk. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. Any doubts you have? I'll share the recording as well. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, so
No, sir.
okay. Thank you.